Tonight, day 2 for jurors at a coroner's inquest in Saskatoon. Finally, an answer on how Myles Sanderson died. Also, while the province is celebrating the number of surgeries performed, the opposition says the government is driving doctors and nurses away. Plus, we take you to a small town with a lot of pride and a robust sports program that can finally boast a championship.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, February 27th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. Today was day 2 for jurors at the Myles Sanderson inquest in Saskatoon. They heard from several key witnesses. Sanderson stabbed 28 people, killing 11, injuring 17 in and around James Smith Cree Nation. He later died in police custody. As Dan Zakreski reports, we now know how Sanderson died.
Forensic pathologist Sean Latham got right to the point. Myles Sanderson, he said, died of an acute cocaine overdose. There was no meth or fentanyl in his system. And a second witness, a veteran Saskatoon police officer, says RCMP did not cause the 31-year-old's death. Detective Sergeant Ken Kane praised the professionalism and restraint shown by officers. Jurors watched dramatic dashcam footage of RCMP forcing Sanderson's stolen truck into the ditch north of Saskatoon. Kane says Sanderson was snorting cocaine through a rolled-up $20 bill, even as 2 officers dragged him from the truck. The arrest footage was jarring. Sanderson could be heard taunting officers as they handcuffed him. "You guys should have shot me. I'm ready to die now." And "How many bodies did I get?" His final words were especially hard for Buggy Burns to hear. The bodies that Sanderson is referring to were Burns' family members.
Kind of hurt. Like, I lost my son, my wife to it.
Within minutes, Sanderson is bleeding from the nose and going into convulsions as officers administer naloxone twice. Latham said that the autopsy showed Myles Sanderson had a significant narrowing of his coronary arteries. This heart condition, combined with the high levels of cocaine, contributed to his death. Latham says the naloxone administered by RCMP would not have offset the effects of the cocaine. The testimony was hard to hear for some.
He took his own life, which was the easy way out for him. And knowing that he did come from prison and that was the life he was facing. For me, like I said before, I have mixed feelings about this. You don't ever want to wish death on another person. But at the same time, if he went to prison, there was always a chance that he could get parole again and come back out.
Dan Zakreski, CBC News, Saskatoon.
It was freezing across Saskatchewan today, but teachers and students from several school divisions were not sheltered and learning in the classroom. Instead, some striking teachers were out on cold picket lines, including in Regina. It's the second day of job action this week by the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation, with the withdrawals of lunch supervision and extracurricular duties every day until Friday. That forced some parents to pick their kids up early.
I mean, I support them, so we got to do what we got to do, but I want the classroom to have supports and to have the right class size, so I support them.
The Ministry of Education says the strikes are unfortunate and called for teachers to meet them back at the bargaining table. But the STF says the escalating job action is on the province because it refuses to negotiate on class size and complexity.
Everyone understands the benefit of a high quality, publicly funded, publicly accessible education system. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem that our elected officials have that same understanding of the investment, and they definitely don't have the same level of priority placed on ensuring students are getting the supports that they need in our schools.
The province has offered to make recent funding for student supports annual, a plan that is supported by the Saskatchewan School Boards Association. But teachers say they need a firm commitment in their contract and will not be bargaining until more supports are on the table. The Saskatchewan government says a surge in surgeries has the province closer to reaching its pre-pandemic waitlist. The Ministry of Health released its most recent surgical figures today. It says the province provided more surgeries in the last fiscal year than in any previous year. The government says it's on pace to break that mark this year. The SHA says as of the end of 2023, there were more than 27,000 patients waiting for surgery. The pre-pandemic surgical waitlist was around 25,000. Given its current rates, the SHA expects to reach the pre-pandemic waitlist sometime this year. Meanwhile, the Saskatchewan NDP held a news conference today highlighting what it describes as an exodus of doctors and registered nurses from the province, specifically in rural communities. The opposition cited recent data from the Canadian Institute of Health Information. It shows there are 474 fewer registered nurses in rural Saskatchewan compared to 6 years ago. The opposition says the same data shows the province also lost about 36 physicians in 2022.
In total, Saskatchewan lost a net 35 physicians of all types to other provinces in 2022. The second highest loss only to Alberta, who lost 72 physicians.
Minister of Health Everett Hindley says the government is trying to hire in many areas of healthcare. He says the province needs more anesthesiologists and is working to fill vacancies. But he says they're also competing with other parts of the country for those doctors. A deal has been reached for the launch of a national Pharmacare program in Canada. It hasn't been introduced yet, but some Canadians are already being told they might not be part of it. As Julia Wong reports, Alberta has announced plans to opt out.
For 29 years, Leslie Thompson has lived with diabetes and juggled the costs around it.
Type 1 diabetes is super costly. You have your cost of insulin, you have blood glucose strips. If you're on a continuous glucose monitor, there's that cost.
Thompson was thrilled by news of a Liberal NDP deal to lay the framework for a national Pharmacare program that would cover contraceptives and diabetes treatments. But Alberta says it was not consulted and now says it plans to opt out.
Delivery of healthcare is a provincial jurisdiction. Federal government is overstepping their authority here.
Instead, the health minister says Alberta will ask for its share of the per capita funding to enhance existing programs.
Give us the dollars, allow us to actually enhance the programs that we have rather than create more bureaucracy.
NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, one of the architects of the deal, is expressing disappointment.
I think it'll be very difficult for the Premier in Alberta to explain to people in Alberta who can't afford their diabetes medication why they're turning down an investment that would cover everyone in that province.
A national Pharmacare program would ease the burden on the healthcare system, this doctor says.
If you have women who don't have unwanted pregnancies, so if you've got patients with diabetes who are able to, check their blood sugars as often as they want to, take their medications, check their blood pressure, you have a healthier population.
As for Thompson, she wishes Alberta would opt in to a national program.
We need help covering it. The cost for taking care of yourself with type 1 diabetes is a burden.
In a statement, Federal Health Minister Mark Holland says the government plans to table Pharmacare legislation in the coming days. Julia Wong, CBC News, Edmonton.
Cold and crisp right across Saskatchewan today, but look at the bright sunny sky. The cold weather did make cleaning up all the snowfall a little more unpleasant, but in true Saskatchewan fashion, that weather is going to change again, and pretty drastically. Tyreek Reed will have your forecast after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. It is a story as Saskatchewan as it gets. A small town college with a lot of pride and a robust sports program. And now it can finally boast a championship-level men's hockey team. Here's Dan Plaster with more on the Briarcrest College Clippers.
How does a college hockey team go from 30 years of struggling to stay out of last place to securing first overall? Just off the Trans-Canada Highway, 10 minutes east of Moose Jaw, is the town of Caronport, where there's a small college making a whole lot of noise. The Briarcrest College Clippers play their sports in the ACAC, otherwise known as the Alberta Colleges Athletic Conference. In the span of just 2 seasons, the Clippers men's hockey team have gone from never winning more than 10 games in a year to a potential first-place finish to a possible shot at a conference championship.
The funny thing is, I've heard people say they don't want to stop at 1. they want 2 banners, so.
ACAC championship, we don't want to look ahead at that, but I think that's in the back of our heads.
The Briarcrest College Clippers hockey team has been on the ice since the late 70s and joined the ACAC for the 1997-98 season. It was a rude awakening, winning just 13 games in their first 8 seasons. The next 17 seasons were not much better. One guy has been there since those early days, first as a player, then coach, now assistant athletic director.
Speaks a lot to guys who went through the program, especially early years ACAC, who, you know, we didn't have a lot of success. You could walk away bitter or angry, or, you know, it wasn't what you'd hoped or what we wanted to be, but to have guys, those guys be a key part of coming back and saying, we don't just want to see it, but we want to be a part of helping.
Former Saskatoon Blade Sam Klassen took over as head coach of the Clippers last season. It was the first time in team history they won 10 conference games. But heading into the year, there were a lot of nerves for a young head coach.
I was really nervous, and I had also been around to see the experience or some of the success they'd had during the playoffs the season before. So despite them only winning 3 games in the season, they had tasted that success at the end of the year, and there's a lot of excitement around the program. And so I was, I was excited to enter into that, but it also was like, oh man, like what if I take the program backwards from that point?
It was that playoff success in 2022 that launched these Clippers. The team captain was just a rookie then, but had a sense that something bigger was on the horizon.
At the end of the day, you could just look around the dressing room and you knew that there was 25 other guys doing it right there with you, and you know, you just had to trust that it was going to pay off or something, whether that was going to be that year or in the future, and maybe not even in hockey, but you just had to trust that hard work was going to lead you somewhere.
The Clippers have one of the best goaltending tandems in the conference. One of those goalies is only 18, so, like much of the team, has no idea of the perils of its past.
Not super familiar, just coming in fresh. Just focusing on the present it's important, and just taking things one day at a time is what I really try to pride myself in.
Things change quickly when you are the little school from Saskatchewan that is now at the top of the standings.
With that first place target on our back, and I think it just in the sense that we're Briarcrest College out here in Saskatchewan, we're the only Saskatchewan team, right? Teams, they get up to play against us. We typically see other teams' best now.
We know that because of the team we are and the history that we have, and now seeing the success, that teams are going to bring their best game against us every night.
No one likes losing to Briarcrest for sure.
To be the first team to potentially put up a championship banner is always in the back of their minds.
Being able to go to battle with these guys and with the hopes of achieving our goals, I mean, it would be unreal.
The Clippers sealed up first for the first time ever this past weekend and will now have a week off to prepare for a run to the conference title. Dan Plaster, CBC News, Caronport, Saskatchewan.
This weather update is brought to you by Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist, Tyreek Reed, joins me now. We finally have some numbers on that epic storm in Saskatoon.
Yes, we do. Lots of snow like we expected, Sam. So in Saskatoon, our friends there received around 13 centimeters of snow. Now, the city of Saskatoon did report 18, so a bit more than what we're seeing here, but the story remains the same. A lot of snow. In central parts of the province, we're also seeing around 10 centimeters of snow in places like Conquest and 11 centimeters in Rockhaven. So yes, lots of snow from that system that moved in, but as it moved out, it left us with a lot of cold. So we do have extreme cold warning alerts for central parts of the province and in northern parts of the province as well. Some of these came into effect yesterday and they're still remaining with us because today was quite cold. We saw temperatures in the -20s throughout most of the province. Right now in northern parts of like Stony Rapids, we're seeing temperatures around -24. As we head further down south in Regina and Saskatoon, we're currently seeing temperatures around -21. So very, very cold, even right here in Regina where we aren't seeing extreme cold weather alerts. And of course, with these alerts, you want to pay attention to that wind chill because it's making temperatures feel much colder. So right now in Regina, it does feel like -30. In Saskatoon, it's also feeling like -30. In the far north, temperatures feel closer to -40 because of these wind chills. Now, I do want to say that we do have another system moving in as we head further into the week. So as we head closer to Thursday, we will see more snowfall moving in from Alberta. This will bring some mixed precipitation down south, like here in Swift Current and Regina. As we head into Friday, that system will move out, but it will leave us with around 10 centimeters of snow in northern parts of the province. Now, winds weren't too much of an issue today, but tomorrow they will start to pick up. We'll see those gusts around 40 kilometers an hour in some parts of the province, mainly in southern parts. But as we head further into Thursday, when that system does make its way in, we will see that pick up to around 50 kilometers an hour in places like Larange. Now, let's take a look at our 7-day forecast. Tomorrow, we can see a daytime high of -12 in Regina. Of course, we want to keep an eye out for those wind gusts gusting to around 40, even 50 kilometers an hour. On Thursday, we'll definitely feel that warmth. We'll be above zero. Once again, we'll see a daytime high of 9 degrees, but that cold will start to make its way back in, especially as we head into the week ahead. We'll see daytime highs at around -16 and 15 on Monday and Tuesday. In Saskatoon, a very similar story. Tomorrow, we'll still be feeling that cold. We'll see a daytime high at around -16. Feeling that warmth on Thursday, once again, sitting above zero. But heading into the week ahead, we'll definitely feel that cold. We'll feel temperatures around -15 on Monday and Tuesday. But for now, let's focus on the cold that we're currently feeling, Sam. We definitely want to stay bundled up.
I don't want to focus on the cold we're feeling. I want to focus on that weird leap year day that we get all the warm weather.
Yeah, same, Sam, but gotta stay bundled.
Yes, yes. Thanks, Greg. Well, here's an image that might have you reaching for an air sickness bag. A plane tried to land and failed in heavy crosswinds at Heathrow Airport in London yesterday. The plane appeared unsteady as it approached the runway and touched down briefly before taking off again. The jet managed a safe landing on its second attempt, and no one was hurt. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. 2 unclaimed suitcases found at Winnipeg's airport turned out to be stuffed with cocaine. Canada Border Services seized close to 75 kilograms of the drug at Winnipeg's Richardson International Airport earlier this month. Border officers found the suitcases after an international flight on February 9th. Inside, they found 60 individually wrapped packages of suspected cocaine with a street value of more than $9 million. The drugs have been handed over to Manitoba RCMP. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland's weekly economic update covered a number of issues today. Freeland and 2 of her cabinet colleagues talked about so-called green bonds, getting more competition into the grocery business and more federal spending to get more homes built.
Today, I'm pleased to share that we're going to be rolling out agreements with 8 different home building organizations through this fund across Canada. It's going to involve a total investment of $123 million from the federal government, which we expect will yield more than 5,600 homes, affordable homes across Canada.
The money will come from the government's existing Affordable Housing Innovation Fund. The builders will be developing and using new methods and technology to get homes built more quickly and more economically. The money will also be used to help young people get into the housing market through rent-to-own and shared equity programs. A new real estate survey suggests more Canadians are waiting for signs that interest rates will drop before making the decision to buy a home. It says many potential buyers have sidelined their dreams of home ownership since the Bank of Canada began raising its key lending rate nearly 2 years ago. Scott Peterson has the details.
This report out this morning gives us a real litmus test as to the thinking that Canadians have before getting into the real estate market. And there's a lot of money on the sidelines. We know this anecdotally as far as people hesitating getting into the market until they get a sense that the interest rates are coming down or until there's an actual announcement. This is why this report from Royal LePage is interesting. And that is a large percentage of people, 56% of people are postponing their property search as a result of rising interest rates. And that goes back to March 2022 when the Bank of Canada first started raising interest rates, and we saw a pullback in the real estate market proportionally there. 51% of Canadians are planning to get back into the market as soon as there is some drop in interest rates, and 10% of those surveyed say that they only need a drop of 25 basis points for them to begin to jump back into this real estate market. Now, among those ready to jump back in, 44% on planning to get a fixed rate mortgage, either a 4-year or 5-year. By far, that is the most popular mortgage vehicle out there. 22% say that they plan to get a variable rate mortgage, even though variable rates are beneficial in an environment of lowering interest rates going forward. Now, following the first rate hold by the Bank of Canada, that was last March, there was a surge of economic activity within the real estate market, but the authors of this report expect to see a real surge by this spring, and at that time we are also expecting to get some sort of indication from the Bank of Canada as to when interest rates are coming down, if not an actual announcement thereafter. And there is one caveat with this. Royal LePage, of course, is in the business of selling real estate, but they see a very strong market coming this spring. Scott Peterson, CBC News, Toronto.
And Tyreek is back with one last look at your weather.
Yes, Sam, a cold night ahead. Once again, we'll see temperatures around -21 in Regina tonight. Heading into tomorrow morning, we'll be starting our day with a very cold one around -26, with that wind chill feeling more like -37. And heading into the afternoon, things will warm up a bit. We'll see highs around -18, but still feeling much colder with that wind chill. In Saskatoon, a cold night ahead as well. We'll see temperatures drop to around -21 tonight, feeling colder with that wind chill. Tomorrow, starting our day with -31 degrees in Saskatoon. Heading into the afternoon, we'll see things warm up. We'll see temperatures around -22 as well, but still very cold, Sam. We're going to have to take the layers out again tomorrow, sadly.
We are going to make a Saskatchewan boy of you yet.
I'm looking forward to it, Sam.
Thanks, Di.
No problem.
Before we leave you, a young lacrosse player from Wahpeton, Dakota Nation is feeling pretty good about a big win overseas and his warm welcome home. Brody McLeod got quite a surprise at the Saskatoon airport. He was welcomed by his family, friends, and First Nations leaders. McLeod played for Team Canada at the Commonwealth Cup in Australia. That's an international junior lacrosse competition. Canada won the championship, beating Australia 15-6 in the final. McLeod scored 2 of those goals, and for him, his reception back home was just as special.
It felt amazing coming home. Coming home to all of that, coming home to the singers welcoming me home.
Quite a memorable moment and very thankful because that homecoming was it's very special, and it shows, that our leadership are there for our children.
Special night for that family. A 16-year-old was also gifted an eagle feather and a star blanket. He'd never been overseas before and hopes he'll make the team again next year. That's it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Stay warm and have a good night.